the year.
For the rest of the year,
For the rest of the year. But then you guys are all going to complain that it's too cool and you want it to warm up and we're summer. So we're never happy. But you know what? We all deserve a break from the heat. We've been dealing with it for quite a while now. And as we actually head into the next few days, we're expecting a pretty significant cool down. You may have felt it today. We're going to continue to feel it over the next couple of days. As we take you outside to the Santa Monica Pier tonight, a lot of people out there, gorgeous at the beach, a little cooler at the beach, and very warm, mild, right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City. We are currently at 75 degrees. As we get a look at temperatures all across the Southland this evening, 60s and 70s along the coast, 70s in the basin, and 80s into some of our inland spots. Riverside at 81, Palmdale at a very warm 84. We actually have a flash flood warning along with a flood advisory. The flood advisory is in effect through 9:15. The flash flood warning in effect through 9:30 tonight. We still are looking at a few severe heavy cells right there to the easternmost parts of San Bernardino County over the mountains. So as a result, we could see flash flooding in the area. So that's something we're going to continue to watch out for the next hour or so. Other than that, though, it's dry and we're looking at much drier conditions and, yes, cooler conditions as low pressure begins to make its way into Southern California. As it does, we'll cool down. In fact, for a change, instead of being above average, well above average, we're going to be below average as we head into the next few days. That cool down lasting through at least the middle part of your week. We'll show you what transpires by the time we hit the weekend. I will tell you in the meantime as well that marine layer will be on the rise as well. Overnight, morning low clouds and fog at the coast and in the basin. So we're going to continue to track the clouds, the cool down, and of course your extended forecast. That's all coming up in a little bit. So don't go away. Rick, back to you.
Watch.
Well, because none of my watches, because the batteries die like every 5 minutes, so none of my watches are on time. Right. All the clocks in my home are off.
What about your car?
Do you know why? Do you know why that is, though? I don't care anymore?
Why is that?
Cell phones.
Yeah.
They do everything for you. So I get my time off my phone or the cable TV box.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
I do that.
Or your computer or your laptop.
Computer and laptop.
Yeah.
So clocks are kind of...
Yeah, I guess ancient history. You know, since the cell phone era, I stopped wearing a watch. I used to wear a watch religiously. I couldn't function without a watch.
It's just jewelry.
Now it's just jewelry. I don't think I even own a watch anymore. I really don't. Yeah, that's what the cell phone's for.
Yep.
All right, well, let's move ahead to the forecast because we've got lots to talk about. Flooding. So take a look. That was from Big Bear earlier today. So yes, we are still dealing with some potential flooding in the area. Doesn't feel like it in spots like the beach or the basin. You might be wondering, wow, was it really raining? But yes, we did see thunderstorms out there, and we're still dealing with a flash flood warning and a flood advisory in effect between 9:15 and 9:30 tonight in the area. We are still dealing with a little bit of residual moisture. Other than that, low pressure is working its way into the forecast, and as it does, it's going to start to cool down. We're finally getting a bit of relief from the heat. You may have felt it today. You're going to feel it even more so as we move into the next couple of days. So finally just taking a little bit of a break, shedding a few degrees, so much so that we're technically below average for this time of year, actually, as we head into the next couple of days. And we're also expecting an increasing marine layer. What does that mean for us? Possibly overnight, morning, low clouds and fog at the coast, and possibly in the basin as well. Temperature-wise today, we were still above average. Downtown, you got up to 90. You were 5 degrees above average, but by tomorrow, you're right at average, and other spots topping out into the 70s, 80s, and 90s. 97 Palmdale, 96 Riverside, Woodland Hills, 95. So we're out of the triple-digit zone, and we're actually getting even cooler. Let's get a look at your 5-day forecast for the valleys and the Inland Empire. Nothing but sunshine over the next few days with temperatures in the 90s and then getting into the upper 80s. That's something we haven't said for your inland spots for a while. For the county, mid 80s turning to low 80s, and then not a lot of change in the forecast as we move through the weekend. We're expecting morning clouds followed by a little more sunshine in the afternoon. Rick and Sharon, back to you. I haven't said in a while. I'm sorry. No, that's not, dry is not even in my vocabulary. It's been humid. On top of that, we've seen monsoonal moisture. We've seen thunderstorms. Still the case out there tonight. In fact, we're still looking at a flood advisory and flash flood warning in San Bernardino County. Right now, as we get a look from Mount Wilson, you're going to see, well, calmer conditions. I will tell you, it will be drier, and heat might not be in the forecast at all. We're actually looking at a cool down. We'll tell you exactly how much cooler coming up in a minute. But as we take a look at temperatures right now, you're going to see 60s, 70s, 80s, 83 in Palmdale, 75 Valencia, 75 in Downey, and over to Rancho Palos Verdes. We're currently at 69 degrees in Laguna Beach at a very warm 74. There's that flash flood warning we've been talking about. We also have a flash flood, or actually a flood advisory. That's in effect until 9:15. The warning in effect until 9:30. We're still looking at some potential storm cells sitting over the area. We did see some storms earlier today, and as a result, well, we saw rain, and we also triggered the warning and the advisory. There's still a chance of flooding in the area, and that could continue as we move through the night here. But of course, as we head into tomorrow, that chance is going to start to dwindle down. It should be drier, and it should be cooler as well. We've got low pressure working its way into Southern California, and as a result, it will be cooler. And on top of that, below average. That's something that hasn't been in our vocabulary for a while either. Below average temperatures. Tomorrow, close to average, and then as we head into the later part of the week, we can call it below average. And finally, you'll see right here, increasing marine layer. We'll see overnight morning low clouds and fog, and we'll see sunshine by the afternoon. So we're going to break down all of the cooler numbers for you, and we'll have that extended forecast. It's all coming up in just a little bit. Rick and Sharon, back to you.
All right, thank you, Evelyn.
Evelyn,
So
bring it
excited.
on.
How about a humidity down? Do we have that too?
Yeah, we need that too.
We're bringing it all down, the humidity
Good.
and the heat together. I know, right? So I've been getting so many complaints, and I finally feel happy to be the bearer of, well, good news versus bad news for the most part. A lot of us, well, we're sick of the heat. Some of you may like it out there, but for those of you that don't, we are expecting much cooler conditions and, yes, drier conditions as well. As we get a look from our Sierra cam this evening, you're going to see a little bit of cloud cover developing out there, and that's actually going to continue happening over the next few days. Overnight and morning low clouds and fog expected at the coast and the basin, with sunshine by the afternoon and sunshine into our inland spots. Very mild out there tonight, 74 degrees. That's right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City. You're going to see low pressure making its way into Southern California. As a result, it's cooling down. It's below average, and we are expecting an increasing marine layer. Still above average for us today, 90 in downtown. Average is 85, so we were about 5 degrees above average, and by tomorrow we're going to be right there, 85 degrees, right at average for downtown. As we head to spots like Santa Monica, we're expecting 70s at the beach, so still a pretty nice beach day. 77, Anaheim 87, Riverside 96, and Woodland Hills, you're getting up to 95 degrees by tomorrow afternoon. So the forecast calling for a couple of things. First and foremost, low pressure coming in. High pressure is finally starting to, well, weaken a little bit. We're still looking at some of those thunderstorms. That monsoonal moisture really was still in the forecast today. In fact, still under a flash flood warning and a flood advisory for parts of San Bernardino County, since we have been seeing those thunderstorm cells. As a result, potential flooding in the forecast. That stays in effect through 9 o'clock tonight. You're going to see that trough of low pressure starting to move in, and as a result, we will see a cooler forecast as we move into the next few days. How cool? Well, we're going to have that 5-day forecast coming up in a minute. Do want to run you through Futurecast really quick here, and as we do, you'll see by the overnight hours, we're expecting a bit of that fog in the forecast. 6:30 in the morning, a little gloomier, a little bit of cloud cover out there. Then you're going to see some of that moisture develop. Could continue to see a little bit of it over the desert, over Palm Springs tomorrow by 4:45 in the afternoon. By 9:45, looking at a little bit of coastal cloud cover. Other than that, clear into our inland spots and clear in the basin. For the valleys in the Inland Empire, you'll see 90s across the board, and, well, even by Thursday, upper 80s. That's something we haven't seen into our inland spots for a while. For the basin in Orange County, mid 80s turning to low 80s. You're going to see low 80s really staying intact through the weekend. Not a lot of change as we move toward the weekend. And for the coast, upper 70s turning to mid 70s, turning to low 70s by your Thursday. Low clouds in the forecast, and not a lot of change as we head into your weekend forecast as well. Rick, back to you. Sylvia, got a little cooler today, thankfully, and as we head into the next few days, we're going to continue to cool it down. We'll show you exactly how cool coming up in just a minute, but first, we're taking you outside to our Mount Wilson camera. You're going to see a little bit of low cloud cover out there and a little bit of night sky mixed in with very mild temperatures across the board. Right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City, we're currently at 73. So low pressure is making its way into Southern California. As a result, it's cooling down, and not only is it going to be cooler, but we're also looking at below average temperatures, and that's something we haven't seen in quite a while. On top of that, the low pressure is going to start to bring in increasing marine layer. So with that, well, we'll see fog first thing in the morning at the coast, a little more sunshine by the afternoon. Earlier today, we made it to 90 degrees. That was for downtown. Average is 85, so we were a good 5 degrees above average for this time of year, and record numbers 97. So we didn't get anywhere too close to that, and you'll see over the next 24 hours a little cooler. We'll show you how much cooler it's going to get as we head into the next few days. That's all coming up in just a little bit. Back to you. Well, we got a little teensy bit today, and we're expecting to get a lot more, so I'm happy to hear that's what you are all looking for. just judging by what people have said to me over the last couple of weeks, I think the majority of us, well, we're pretty excited for the cool down. As we get a look at LAX this evening, you're going to see pretty nice conditions out there. We are expecting more fog in the forecast into the overnight morning hours. Meanwhile, we're still dealing with the flash flood warning and an advisory. That's going to be right here, the green on your screen. Over San Bernardino County, we're looking at, well, a little bit of potential flooding. We did see some cells earlier today, but things are just about to start calming down. Other than that, well, nice and dry and nice and mild. Temperatures into the 60s and the 70s. 73 in Downey, 82 in Palmdale, 79 in Riverside. And as we head over to Malibu, you're at a very comfortable 68 degrees. Low pressure is making its way into the forecast, and as a result, we're cooling down. We're not only cooling down, but we can actually call temperatures below average. That's something we haven't been able to do in quite a while. It's going to be a day or two before we can say that, but we are getting there, and you're going to see as well as we head to the next few days, we're going to see more cloud cover. Overnight, morning, low clouds and fog, especially at the coast, more clearing by the afternoon. We were still above average today. We got up to 90 degrees in downtown. It was still a little muggy out there. Over the next 24 hours, we're shedding a good 5 degrees pretty much across the board. We'll be right at average in downtown. Santa Monica 77, Palmdale 97, and Woodland Hills, you're getting up to 95 degrees. If that's still too warm for you, well, we're expecting more of a cool down as we head into the next few days for the valleys and the Inland Empire. Mid-90s turning to low 90s, eventually turning to upper 80s by your Thursday, back up to 90 by Friday and Saturday. For the Basin and Orange County, mid-80s turning to low 80s, and looks like we've got time for one more 5-day forecast. Let's take you to the coast, and you're going to see right here upper 70s turning to mid-70s, eventually turning to low 70s as we head toward your Friday and as we head toward your Saturday. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. And we're expecting more cooling in the forecast. We'll have that cooler forecast coming right up.
A beautiful, inspiring story. All right, well, it's certainly turning into better baseball weather.
Yes, better everything
it's
weather.
Cooler, yeah,
nice,
it's more comfortable.
Exactly, and I've been getting lots of pats on the back. Let's put it that
Did you
way.
get credit for it? It's all because of you.
I know, but you know, I got blamed for the last
that's
few
right.
weeks, so I deserve it.
Right,
And you
you
deserve
get
a
both.
break from the heat. Much deserved or much needed break from the heat because it's been quite hot. But today was a little cooler. Tomorrow even cooler, and the next few days even cooler. So we'll show you exactly as well. As we get a look at radar, no more watches and warnings to speak of this evening. Temperatures still in the 60s, 70s, and a few 80s out there for the high desert, 81 degrees. Valencia 75, 73 in Downey and PV. You're currently at 69 degrees. Low pressure is making its way into the forecast, and as a result, it's cooling down. It's going to continue to cool down as we head into the next few days. We're looking at below average temperatures, and on top of that, introducing a little more cloud cover into the mix. Overnight, morning, low clouds and fog. You'll see that right here as that, well, low starts to move in. That, well, marine layer is going to start to thicken as we head into the next few days here. So we'll run you through Futurecast and show you that in just a minute. You'll see earlier today we made it to 90 degrees. Average is 85. We're a good 5 degrees above average. And over the next 24 hours, upper 60s, 70s, and by the afternoon, we are in the mid-80s. 85 degrees for downtown tomorrow. Santa Monica 77, Palmdale 97, Riverside 96, and Woodland Hills, you're getting up to a very warm 95. Not quite as toasty as where we've been, but still quite warm. As we get a look at your forecast right here, we are cooling down. You're going to see that trough of low pressure starting to make its way towards Southern California. High pressure starting to move out of the way. Thunderstorms starting to move out of the way as well. We've seen that monsoonal moisture. Saw some rain and thunderstorms in the mountains today, but that won't be a factor as we head into the next few days. Still slight chance out there, but we're going to start to dry out, and we are going to start to cool down as well. Let's get a quick look at Futurecast, and you're going to see overnight morning low clouds and fog starting to develop a little bit as we carry on through the morning hours. That's still the case. And by about 11 o'clock, looks like there's going to be a little bit of moisture out there, possibly over the desert into late afternoon. But other than that, again, much drier and significantly cooler over the next few days. For the Basin and Orange County, mid-80s turning to low 80s. As we get a look at the coast, upper 70s, eventually turning to low 70s. This coast, of course, a lot cooler than everybody else over the last couple of weeks, but we've been in the 80s for the most part. So now we're down to the 70s. As we get a look at one more 5-day forecast for the valleys and the Inland Empire, no more triple digits, 90s, eventually even turning into 80s. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. And temperatures are finally starting to cool down. We'll let you know how much cooler it's going to get and how long it's going to last. Yes.
Not anymore.
No, it hasn't been a dry heat. You're exactly right. It's been, well, a humid heat, and it looks like things are finally starting to clear out a little bit. A cool shot. Take a look at that. Looks like the lifeguard cruising across the pier tonight. Not a bad night out there. Upper 60s and 70s, and that is at the coast. 70s right here at the Broadcast Center in Studio City, and pretty much looking at very mild to warm conditions tonight across the board. So let's get to your forecast, and as we do, you're going to see right here no advisories and warnings to speak of. We did see a flood advisory earlier today and a flash flood warning. We did have thunderstorms up in the mountains, but now things have calmed down. You'll see 60s, 70s, and 80s out there. 80 in Palmdale, 72 in Downey, PV, 68 in Riverside. You're at a warm 78 degrees for tonight. So low pressure is moving in, and with that, we're cooling down. Below average temperatures in the mix, and that's going to continue to be the case as we head into the next few days. On top of that, increasing cloud cover, so we are bracing for overnight morning low clouds and fog along the coast and in the basin. Speaking of the basin downtown, you got up to 90. That was today. Average is 85, record numbers 97, and by tomorrow we're going to be right at average, and over the next few days below average. Santa Monica tomorrow at a gorgeous 77, Palmdale 97, Woodland Hills 95, so we're no longer looking at triple-digit heat, at least not for now. Most of that monsoonal moisture will stay to the east. We could see a little bit of it creep up into our forecast tomorrow, but for the most part, that high pressure is starting to break down, and a low pressure, well, trough is coming our way. You're going to see it starting to dig into Southern California. It's cooling us down, and it's going to continue to cool us down as we head into the next few days. For the valleys in the Inland Empire, 90s turning to 80s, back up to the 90s by the time we hit the weekend, and getting a look at one more 5-day forecast for the basin, 80s across the board and 70s all week for the coast. Back to you.
Right on.